Coming up on this edition of Celtics Weekly, Tatum and Brown show out at All-Star Weekend. We go courtside with a Celtics legend, and the schedule ramps back up against 3 division foes. All that and more now. Welcome into Celtics Weekly. Thanks for joining us on a Thursday rather than our usual Wednesday, coming out of the All-Star break. Meghan Ottolini here with the All-Star of NBC Sports Boston, Chris Forsberg. Chris, have any good trips over All-Star break?
Yeah, we're recording on a Thursday, maybe because someone had a little trouble getting home on a Wednesday, but I appreciate the patience. And I knew after a couple weeks of Drew Cotter, you guys needed a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit of a real All-Star in this seat.
I'm not stepping into that. I'm not even touching that. That's between you and him. That's a beef for another show. Maybe if I ever take
I love Drew. I'm just saying, sometimes you need a little Jayson Tatum on the program.
Okay, let's get right into our weekly rewind because I feel like the Celtics haven't played basketball in a year, but it's only been about a week. And the last time that we talked, we were previewing this game between the Celtics and the Spurs. What a great win it was for Boston, 116-103. You see JT there, and Jayson Tatum scored 32 points on the night. Kristaps Porzingis squaring off with Wembanyama there, and that was one of the most fun highlights of the entire game to me.
Yeah, maybe of the season. It's good to see that the real elite 7-footer showed itself in that game. But no, look, we know how good Wemby is. I'm just slandering everybody today. But my favorite part about this game was that Jayson Tatum, after that Miami win, had sort of called out the team and said they've got to play better at home. Felt like there was a true emphasis on trying to set a tone, and who came out and had a monster first quarter. But Jayson Tatum, he was fantastic at the finish line of that first half and got the Celtics to 7 wins in 8.
So during the break, Derrick White had a notable visit. He went back to his alma mater, University of Colorado. The Buffs, of course, had some family time because he received a huge honor. He was among 10 honorees. Colorado just debuted their Wall of Honor, and you get to see the moment of his jersey getting unveiled here.
Oh, it's so amazing. Think about Derrick's journey from, Division II college to going to Colorado to now NBA champion, gold medal. The man has had an amazing year. Contract extension, should have been an NBA All-Star one of these 2 seasons. This has been great for Derrick.
And then, of course, the highlight of the entire week was the All-Star game. Really more of a tournament, just a switched-up format out in the Bay. Both Jays out there, a lot of time with the kids. Let's take a listen to what they had to say about it.
It's an honor to compete against guys that maybe you looked up to when you were in high school.
It's special because I went to college here, so I got a lot of family and friends here close by.
Love that, raising the trophy. Let's look at the All-Star game highlights from those 2 games that the Jays got to play together with Team OGs, and Jaylen also called them Team Old Knees.
It's so perfect. Let's just say it. Let's not dance around it. Jayson Tatum got screwed. He should have been the MVP of this game. As even Steph Curry admitted, Lifetime Achievement Award. If this game had been in any other location, Jayson Tatum would have been MVP. He was phenomenal in that finish line game with the way he was scoring. I need that 3-point percentage to carry over into the regular season again with the Boston Celtics.
Great look for Jaylen Brown too, though. As we see here in the first game, he had 8 straight points to really lift up the team, the way that we've seen him do with the Celtics. A lot of times early on in games, he'll get hot from the jump, let everybody warm up a little bit. And so I think we got to see both sides, like what makes this duo great for the Celtics, for Team OG's Old Knees.
I like Wemby just with the dismissive, because he knew. God, the Jays were too good on that court. There was no way the OGs were letting that win slip away.
Absolutely. We have even more All-Star action in our next segment. That's Small Bites. It's a bite-sized segment that packs the punch of a full-course meal, and you saw that behind-the-scenes footage at the very beginning of the Jays in the locker room. We've got something really fun here because it's Jaylen Brown hanging out with maybe the most famous at this point guy within the Celtics family. That's Deuce Tatum.
Deuce, what up, baby? You all right?
I'm not a baby.
You a baby.
You're a baby.
Got gloves on. You can guard me in the post?
Huh?
Can you guard me in the post? What's up, coach? Good to see you. You got no muscle? You ain't got no muscles. You got some muscles? You got some muscles? You don't be doing no push-ups, dude. Okay, I feel it. I see it. How many push-ups can you do?
Dude, you can do a push-up down. You can do a push-up.
Nah.
Okay, seriously, is he saying 0 at the end? What is he doing?
I think he's saying I'm done with this conversation.
Okay.
I feel like there's going to be a documentary in 20 years of like when Deuce Tatum is an NBA All-Star, and he's going to be like, and Jaylen Brown was critical of my muscles, and I took that personally. And so he goes out there and then like goes full Rocky training videos of him doing push-ups and getting an NBA dad-like muscles. It's been, I assume Deuce is going to bottle this up and find a way to use it as motivation long term.
It's just such a fun dynamic between the two of them. Like, I do feel like if we need some kind of side reality show, Deuce with everybody and Deuce and Jaylen, just walking down the street. Deuce, you're a baby.
You're a baby. And then we integrate Kristaps somehow, and they're just all having fun out there. I'm all for it.
Super fun. All right, well, don't go anywhere, because on the other side, we have an incredible interview. We are sitting down with the Celtics legend and Jeff Twiss as we go courtside right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. What an incredible treat we have. We have the recipient of the John W. Bunn Lifetime Achievement Award. That is Jeff Twiss. He's Vice President of Media Services with the Celtics. Jeff, Red Auerbach once said, the Celtics are a way of life. And many people I've heard say that you are the living embodiment of that. So we're starting off here.
Sitting down here, right?
With a lot of flattery, but it is a tremendous award that you're receiving from the Basketball Hall of Fame. And I just got to ask you, in your years of service to the Celtics, when you first started that first season, did you ever imagine that it would be what it is today with the NBA, with this particular franchise?
Not in my wildest dreams. How things have changed over the years since 1981 when I first kind of came in. My very first day of the job was an intern, and the team had just won the title in '81 against Houston. And all of a sudden, you go to the airport to greet all the players, and all they're kind of stumbling off the plane. As we all know, we celebrated, and not me, but they did. And my first inclination was, so this is what pro sports is all about, huh? So I got an early baptism into how the Celtics way was to always be excellent, always try to win the title, and then very fortunate to be hired in October of 1981. Been here, causing trouble ever since. So.
Tell me about the process. Like, so you had to meet with Red Auerbach, and like, what was that like? And like, how was the job explained to you in that moment?
Sure, very simply, Chris. We were coming back from a preseason game in Providence, Rhode Island, and one of my duties at the time was to drive Coach Auerbach. He was not, God rest his soul, not the greatest driver in the world. And so he's sitting there like I'm driving the car, and he says, you really want to work for us? I said, yes, sir, it'd be an honor. Well, come in and see me tomorrow morning, we'll talk about it. Okay. So I get here in my one wool suit in the middle of the summer and sweating to death. And he says, okay, come on in, sit down and talk about it. And his talk about it version was, okay, you're going to get this, this, and this, take it or leave it. And I said, okay, thanks very much, and stood up. And he goes, now get your butt out of here and go to work.
When you kind of, in this, I assume an award like this makes you reflect. Do you have favorite moments? Like, what's the first thing that jumps to mind as you reflect on all these years?
When you win a title, of course, being part of and not to get too sentimental here, but when you're part of a team, there is a unity, there's a brotherhood, there's a real sense of camaraderie there that really people can't, and I wish they could, really experience going through year from day one to day end, and you've made it through it, you survived it, and you've done it together, and that's a great feeling. So 84 is the first championship I was a part of, and very fortunate and been blessed to be part of 3 others too along the way.
You had a little bit of a gap in the middle of the.
Well,
what was that? I mean, you come into a team that's so successful. Did you think, man, we just do this every year? How much more did that make you appreciate maybe 2008?
Exactly. Yeah. You go through situations, and here again, go back to Coach Auerbach. Red always used to say, you're going to have peaks and valleys, and when you have the valleys, try to make sure you try to maintain the service and the respect and the care. If someone has a request, big or small, you honor it and you try to work through it and try to help that person. So I think that was, you appreciate more the championships when you go a long gap, as you said, Chris, but when you come back around again, you savor it, and it's like, boy, you're really fortunate to be part of an organization to quote, do it again.
Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, these were guys who I heard that you went to barbecues, went apple picking with, and then sat down and actually baked something out of the apples. Can you tell us a little bit?
Change?
It's hard to imagine Larry Bird or any NBA superstar doing that.
Yeah, and then here again, the mindset going back 40 years now was you do things that get away from the court, no offense, but get away from media interviews and all the publicity or notoriety that you want to get through your own platform nowadays. None of that. So how can we get together and just kind of celebrate us and the time of year? We had apple picking as one example. We'd have Halloween parties. At the end of the year, we'd have barbecues. And Larry was a big barbecue guy, and we had guys on the team, Rick Roby comes to mind, that really got into this. And we all chipped in. We all paid for whatever the meats or the burgers or whatever it was. We all just had a good time. And we were much more of a smaller family unit back then because we we were smaller. And not to say we aren't today, but we have grown exponentially that, it kind of prevents a little bit of that.
So when the Hall of Fame calls you to let you know about this, what's that moment like? And, what have you had a chance to process it all in the aftermath?
Well, and I'll tell a long story. I've told it to a couple of staff members already. I got the call, and I look at the phone dial. This is 413. That must be okay, western part of the state for Springfield. So my first reaction was, uh-oh. And I picked it up as from the Hall of Fame, said Hall of Fame. Uh-oh, because we have a vault, a special exhibit called the Vault over there. And one of our trophies, an 81 trophy, is at the exhibit. So my first reaction was, uh-oh, something happened to the trophy. Not to say bad news first, but, So I sat down, and it was John DeLeva, the president. He goes, I got some news. Are you sitting down? My heart's still going fluttering, like, oh no, something did happen to the trophy. He's you've been named the recipient of the Bunn Award for this year. And at first, I was a sigh of relief that nothing happened to the trophy, but it's like, are you sure you got the right guy? You want me? No, wait a minute, So.
And then the follow-up, and the trophy's okay.
Trophy is fine, yeah. And the exhibit's still there if you want to go visit it. No, I'm just kidding. So.
Well, Jeff, we could truly talk to you for a half hour. You could take up a whole episode for us, and we would be thrilled. But I know you've got places to be. You've got a lot of other interviews to do because a lot of people want to talk to you.
And thank you.
You got to go check on all the other trophies. Make sure they're not sneaking off. So.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on this one right over here in the middle. It's a replica, but we do care about it, and we do have to look ahead because the Celtics are back in action, and we've got 3 games coming up in Future Focus. Future Focus is when we take a look at what's on the horizon for your Boston Celtics, and they're coming back from the All-Star break against a bunch of Atlantic Division rivals, starting with the Sixers tonight. Sixers, we're hoping, will be healthier than they were going into the break with Embiid and Maxey back. These are 2 different teams that were on pretty different trajectories going into the break, Chris.
And the only thing I'm interested in is making sure Lonnie Walker isn't out there, obviously in camp with the Celtics. I worry all the time about revenge games. I don't think he has any malice towards the Celtics, but, he had a chance, thought he might latch on here. But if the Sixers are at full strength, that adds a layer to this. It should be a fun matchup.
A big showdown this weekend when the Celtics come back at home will be against the Knicks. So the Celtics, before the break, they beat the Knicks by 20-plus points for the second time this season at MSG in that game. What do you expect from this game and the impact that Karl Anthony Towns might finally have against the Celtics?
It's going to be very interesting. Again, 2 teams back-to-back in the standings here, 2-3. The Knicks want to make a surge, want to show they can hang with the Celtics. Boston has played some of its best basketball this season against this Knicks team, sort of reminding everybody where they stand in that Eastern Conference hierarchy. I expect the Celtics to be ready to go against the Knicks.
And finally, you see that awesome block from Derrick White. The Celtics are starting off the first of a back-to-back against the Toronto Raptors in Toronto. Last time they met, It was a loss, but it was a fantastic Payton Pritchard game. He had 20 in that.
And that's what I was going to say. Like the Celtics, if they need any motivation, it was one of those games where they just didn't have it, let their foot off the gas a little bit. And I wonder if they'll have a little extra motivation seeing that team on the other side and wanting to get right against the Rams.
Be interesting to see if the Raptors' new acquisition, Brandon Ingram, will be playing. He's been dealing with an injury, an ankle injury, even though he got that $120 million extension. Would be fun to see him out there, but we'll see.
100%. I always root for the guys like the superstars to be on the other side. Makes the matchup a little more fun.
Especially with these Celtics. We'll be with you next Wednesday. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.